In March 2026, as conflict erupted across the Middle East, global energy markets panicked. Crude oil surged past $100 a barrel, sending shockwaves through the global economy and driving up prices at local gas pumps almost overnight. Traders feared the fighting would spill into the Strait of Hormuz, shutting down the narrow shipping lanes that carry a massive chunk of the world's daily oil supply. Then came the breaking news. U.S. forces deployed B-2 stealth bombers in a massive coordinated raid directly over Iranian territory. Their target was Kharg Island. Kharg is the primary hub of Iran's oil export industry. This single, tiny piece of land in the northern Persian Gulf handles roughly 90% of the nation's entire crude oil output. A strategic bombing run on an energy hub of this size usually results in the total incineration of the terminal, followed immediately by a global market crash. But when the smoke cleared, satellite imagery revealed something highly unusual. The island's 30 million barrels of storage and its intricate web of pipelines were completely untouched. Military planners had deliberately spared their enemy's most valuable asset. The bombers didn't miss. Instead of striking the oil, the munitions systematically dismantled the island's military shield. They wiped out radar stations, air defense systems, and the local headquarters of the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which serves as the regime's premier military and internal security force. Shortly after the raid, the U.S. president issued a direct ultimatum. He announced that the oil infrastructure was intentionally spared for reasons of decency, but on one strict condition: Iran must allow the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz. By stripping away the island's defenses, while leaving its economic engine perfectly intact, the strike achieved something far more complex than a standard bombing run. It turned Iran's primary source of revenue into a geopolitical hostage. Look at the Gulf's underwater topography. The mainland's water is too shallow for massive tankers to dock. Forced away, supertankers congregate exclusively at Kharg Island's deep water. This geological quirk creates a mandatory bottleneck: 30 million barrels of storage squeezed onto just 20 square kilometers. This concentrated target was hit as part of a much broader U.S. and Israeli air campaign. In the weeks prior, Allied forces had already destroyed an estimated 80% of Iran's overarching national air defenses. The Kharg operation took that systematic degradation a step further. Precision munitions excised the internal security nodes stationed directly on the island, carefully avoiding the highly combustible oil tanks located just meters away. When you combine the geography of the Gulf with the extreme density of the infrastructure, Kharg Island becomes the center of gravity in this conflict. Whoever controls this tiny rock essentially controls the financial survival of the regime. If the U.S. bombers had completely destroyed the oil terminal, they would have instantly wiped out the regime's primary source of income, leaving the Iranian government with absolutely no remaining financial stakes. A regime with zero economic prospects and an obliterated export capacity has every incentive to retaliate by mining the Strait of Hormuz, effectively turning the lights off on the global economy. By leaving the terminal fully functional, the attackers applied a different strategic logic. The regime is now incentivized to keep the shipping lanes open, because doing so is the only way to protect and monetize their one remaining asset. The U.S. essentially created an active second-by-second threat. The facility functions, but it sits completely undefended, serving as a constant reminder that the Iranian economy can be wiped out the moment they step out of line. There is a specific reason why military planners focused so heavily on eliminating the internal guard posts on the island. Historically, collapsing regimes often choose to destroy their own assets rather than surrender them. The nightmare scenario for energy warfare played out in 1991, when retreating Iraqi forces under Saddam Hussein set over 700 Kuwaiti oil wells ablaze. Those fires consumed up to 5 million barrels of oil every single day. The environmental devastation was immense, and the sabotage triggered a massive, immediate spike in global energy prices. In 2026, intelligence analysts feared a repeat of that exact scenario. They worried that desperate, hardline factions within Iran might sabotage the Kharg facilities themselves, burning down the global market on their way out. Obliterating the IRGC guard posts removed the personnel required to coordinate such an event, serving as a preemptive strike to prevent the regime from committing Saddam-style economic suicide. Today, Kharg Island exists in a precarious new state. It is a highly lucrative, fully operational gold mine floating in the Persian Gulf, completely exposed and stripped of its defenses. This creates a distinct tactical advantage. By wiping out the garrison, the U.S. has paved the way for a potential marine occupation of the island, allowing ground forces to move in with minimal resistance. If the time comes, seizing that intact infrastructure would secure the crude oil necessary to rapidly stabilize the region's post-war economy. The Kharg Island raid demonstrates a shift in strategic priorities. In this conflict, the infrastructure a military chooses